President Trump is trying to, broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. We hear the story. He pulls aside Macron and says, nope, I'm going to go talk to Zelensky myself. They sit down, boom. You got the mineral deal that gets done. And then all of a sudden, hey, Putin, is he going to come to the meeting? Is he not going to come to the meeting? He doesn't show up to the meeting. And then suddenly, this event takes place, calling it the Pearl Harbor of Russia. 40 Russian strategic bombers, Tu-95, destroyed in daring Ukrainian FPV drone swarm raid. Take a look at this video, Rob. Do we have audio for the audience to react to the audio as well?
Yep.
Look at this and listen to the audio, folks. Go ahead. Look at that. Look at those bombers. You see that? It's like straight out of the movie Pearl Harbor.
Let's get a video again.
That sound takes me back to
This thing is going on.
You can pause it right. It goes for a while, by the way. 40. So let me read the story to you. Ukrainian Secret Service, SBU, executed Operation Spiderweb targeting Olenia and Belaya airfields with first-person view drones launched from trucks, with SBU sources claiming 34% of strategic cruise missile carriers at the main airfields of the Russian Federation were hit, causing $7 billion in damage. Ukrainian President Zelensky described it as an absolute brilliant result, noting 1 year, 6 months, and 9 days from the start of the planning to effective execution, and an operation achieved solely by Ukraine. The strikes hit over 40 Russian aircrafts, including Tu-95, Tu-22M3, an A-50 bomber, with pro-Kremlin war analyst Vladimir Podzavsky stating disabling strategic aircraft gives Russia the right to use ready nuclear weapons. Let me say this one more time. Disabling strategic aircraft gives Russia the right to now use nuclear weapons, citing Russia's nuclear doctrine, allowing a response to attacks on critical government or military infrastructure. Russian War Channel labeled it Russia's Pearl Harbor, with pundit Roman Alikin demanding the response will be the same as the U.S. response to the attack on Pearl Harbor, or even harsher. Those are some strong words right there. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Well, this is really bad. This is horrifying. In the midst of Trump trying to broker and trying to negotiate, there are forces out there that want nothing but war. And remember, Ukraine has been enabled by this. People are giving Ukraine weapon systems that they apparently use themselves. When he says achieved solely by Ukraine, what he's saying is we did it. Yeah, but you did it with arms and stuff you were given by other people. And so this is a big bump in the road toward peace, because you can't, if you had Putin ready to sit down and talk about something, okay, tell you what, you keep Crimea, we make a line right here, we do a couple things, we negotiate this, can we get to a peace and a détente here? And now Putin's like, what are you talking about? Which one of you folks, sold these weapons? Which one of you folks distracted me? Because remember, Putin, if anything, has got a high level of paranoia. And so he's going to look at this and have the one quote that I believe in this story, the response will be the same as U.S. Pearl Harbor, or even harsher. Why leave Pearl Harbor at that? It's going to be a very harsh, strong response. And I think we just took 2 steps back on, a peace treaty, which is really a border definition treaty, because Russia wants Crimea, Russia wants to keep Donbas, and Ukraine would like to get back on its feet, the core people. But Zelensky or whoever's supporting him, they want war. This is nasty.
Adam, thoughts?
So it's the #1 story on Wall Street Journal right now. Apparently they're both in Istanbul right now, where these Russia and Ukraine peace talks are taking place, allegedly. But if you actually look at what's going on in real life, on one hand, they're like, yeah, Trump, we're going to sit down, we're going to have peace talks, we're going to work this out. On the other hand, they're bombing the crap out of one another. As much as I support Trump and I voted for Trump, he promised to end this war in one day, actually before he assumed office. I think there's both sides saying, dude, I don't think you even understand a fraction of what this war is all about, because this is not stopping anytime soon. By the way, there's another article right now talking about how Putin has geared up the entire Russian economy to focus solely on war. So the whole conversation about, what is that?
Whose phone
That's
is that?
ChatGPT.
On whose phone?
Sorry about that.
Is that you?
Wow, they're listening. They
Go
just
ahead,
tapped
keep
my
going.
phone. By the way, they talked about how Putin's entire economy has hinged upon basically only focus on war. The running joke about Russia for many years is that it was a gas station masquerading as a country. Now it is a full-on gas station, oil field, and war machine that is only focusing on Putin's war. And my assumption is it's only going to get worse since this whole Operation Spiderweb just happened, when they basically eliminated, 40 of their planes. So how many deaths have been in this war since 2022?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, at least 1 million. Where are the campus protests? Where are the people talking about the deaths of the civilians? Nothing. Zero. Why don't we hear about this anymore? This is the #1 war in the world. Now they're threatening what, PBD? Nuclear war? No. Let's not talk about it.
But this is, by the way, Adam, Trump said a lot of things, but when you have people like Lindsey Graham, who's been there since the 30th, who is a freaking war hawk, that's been pushing for us to go to war with Ukraine. That's all this guy is. And I love how people are always like, well, you guys are only on one side. No. Lindsey Graham is one of those people that we talk about.
Pushing us to go to war with Ukraine?
Not with Ukraine, to drag us into a war with Russia. That's at the end of the day, it's not Trump. It's the people
So
behind
you think
them.
this is Lindsey Graham?
Lindsey Graham has been there talking to him this
Lindsey
whole week.
Graham has absolutely
You think
zero
Lindsey-
pull.
You don't think
Zero.
Lindsey
It's a
Graham has
coalition
no
of people.
involvement? You don't think Lindsey Graham
Lindsey
is in there
Graham
in
is
his ear?
a senator. He
hold on a
doesn't
second.
run anything.
It's a
He
coalition.
doesn't run anything. He's there talking about peace talks. Then all of a sudden, have you? In this
Is
past,
this the Bannon clip?
Are you
I
bringing
haven't-
up Lindsey Graham?
I haven't
'cause
seen the
it's
Bannon
5
clip, but I
months?
know that he's there, and he is a war hawk. He wants
What's
us to
this
go
about, Rob?
I've been
This
saying
is
this for years.
Steve Bannon was on Chris Cuomo's News Nation, where he talks about Lindsey Graham being arrested for continuing to stir up animosity with Zelensky and Ukraine.
Go ahead.
I don't know whether it's true that Ukraine didn't give us a heads up and that the United States wasn't involved in the planning or execution. I don't know that. I know what the White House has said. I don't necessarily believe it. I don't know that it's not true either. But I don't understand how you could want to jail a U.S. senator because he's saying something you don't like. That sounds like the worst of the deep state.
Oh, look, the
Sounds
president.
like what happens in
because
Russia.
he's lawfare.
No. It's absolutely what he's doing. What he's
But it's
doing
not
over there
illegal.
right now is
It's not
stirring
illegal.
it up. He's giving the Ukrainians false hope. He's giving Ukrainians false hope. He's giving Ukrainians false hope that we're there to support them on
All right, so maybe
engaging
he's
Russia
wrong.
in a kinetic conflict, and we are not.
So maybe he's wrong,
President
but what do
Trump,
you
in the
say, throw
central
him in
parts of
jail?
President Trump. Hey, Lindsey Graham. Two things. Two things ought to happen: either cancel his passport and don't let him back in the country, or put him in jail if he comes back. Lindsey Graham
What
is
the
stirring
hell's
it
this
up
guy
right
talking
now,
about?
and people better wake
I
up to
get
the
it.
fact
Jailing
that
a
we're getting
senator?
sucked
What are you
into
Pause
this
talking
that.
about?
war.
Pause that. Brandon, your thoughts.
Yeah, so we have mechanisms in place to take care of things like this, and if Trump's not going to take those mechanisms out because of the bad sides of them, like why isn't he using the good sides of them? Like the National Endowment for Democracy put things like this into place. So I think it's time, with Zelensky not being compliant with what we want him to do, with him going behind our back as he's pretending to do peace talks and playing this for a year and a half. It's time to overthrow him. It's time to use something like the National Endowment for Democracy to take him out of power, because the vast majority of his country wants him out of power. They're calling him a dictator. He's doing things that are putting us in danger, that are putting us in danger of a nuclear war, and putting the rest of Europe in a war posture position. So
Do you think Trump knew that Zelensky was going to do this?
probably not, because
You don't think he knew? You don't think their intel knew? Tom, do you think Trump knew? Do you think the White House knew this was going to happen?
I think we've got really good intel, and I think we wake up in the middle of the night, we freak out. But
Middle of the night type of knowing, not
no,
like we've known for a week.
I don't know if we've known for a week. It's like, hey, we suspected this, we suspected this. They just pulled the trigger on this, Mr. President. They just pulled the trigger on this. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So what you just said sounds a little bit like, and I'd like you to unpack it. I'm not
Yeah,
attacking you.
yeah,
I'd like
for
you to
sure.
unpack it.
For sure.
Sounds just like we need to knock out Saddam Hussein. He's not there. We need to overthrow him. But then there were things that filled the vacuum. If Zelensky, let's say tomorrow Zelensky hell, had an overdose, had a John Belushi death.
Yep.
Okay. What fills the vacuum? Because you're saying we need to take him out. What fills the vacuum? What are the political forces that are there? Is it like an Ayatollah, a completely radical member, or is it a military conversion? What happens in Ukraine if somebody does take Zelensky out? You're well read on this.
So, for example, the guy that we had on this podcast, he had to leave the country. He used to be Zelensky's advisor.
Arestovich.
Yes, the vast majority of the country wants him in power. So somebody like that, it's a much more structured place than Iraq. It's not like a chaotic situation. If you take them out, they want peace and stability and strong leadership and popular sentiments on that side of things where they don't want to be antagonizing Russia, and you could probably get them on board with giving a portion of Ukraine to Russia, because I mean Ukraine's barely even a real state. Like, it's only existed for 30 years. The 90% of Russia's existence was part of Russia. Then we help overthrow Russia, or Russia collapses, and then we just take that part of it, use U.S. lobbyists to create this state called Ukraine.
Well, there's a lot of countries that exist for the last 30 years. It's called the ending of the Cold War. So when the Eastern Bloc fell, all these countries that, believe me, want to be free, every single stand, every single country down there
how this works,
used to be part of the USSR.
Here's a question for you. For him to make, he says 18 months, and execution was perfection, right? His word.
Yeah.
So for this to happen and for it to take place, he has to have such confidence and such backing to know Putin's not going to do anything. Who gives him that level of backing? NATO?
Well,
you think that's the backing? He ain't getting it from Trump. So where is he getting the backing from to act this boldly to cause a Russian Pearl Harbor? And what did the Russian guy say? Hey, how did you guys react, America? So don't give us shit if we react like the way you guys did, if we react to so. And then what's our argument? Well, learn from our mistakes and don't make the mistakes of our previous leaders and all this. And Russia's going to say, shut up.
Yeah.
Cry me a river with all this bullshit that you guys have all done all this damage and I can't do anything. So to me, for a Zelensky to act this boldly, someone gave him the permission and the backing. Who is that?
Well, think about it. It's rogue elements of the CIA or the intelligence agency. Like, that's the thing. It's, look at the CIA director. He first day in office, they come in, they put signal on his devices without him even wanting them to do it. So the director of the CIA has no idea what's really going on in the CIA, and the president has no idea what's really going on the CIA. So rogue elements have been doing things that nobody has any idea about for decades. And I think, and it's always been the case that powerful forces are very interested in getting control of Russia's resources. Like, that's why everybody hates Putin, is because, we put oligarchs in place at the end of the Cold War. We were exercising control through them, then Putin gets into power and he takes control over the oligarchs, gets them out of power, so we lose access to Russia's market. So, even in the first Russia revolution, we wanted access to Russia's market. So that's why these powerful forces are so interested in, I guess,
Brandon,
wearing
Tom,
Russia down.
Who gives Zelensky this level of confidence to act as boldly as he did? Who?
Rogue elements of the CIA.
Rogue elements of CIA.
Yeah.
What kind of power do the rogue elements of the CIA have that Trump's not going to be able to shut down and say, hey, what are you doing?
They're
You're
invisible.
out. You think that's what's given Zelensky that power?
Yeah.
I don't know, because you have to realize this is not a regular thing. This is not a regular thing. I mean, to do something like this publicly, and not only that, you know what's even more irritating? What he said. Let me read it to you one more time. What he said. Think you're Putin. Yeah. Go be Putin for a second. Okay, not what you wore this morning, but be Putin for a second. Listen to the profile. I'm going to read it to you one more time. You ready? Here's what he said. Okay, this is Zelensky. An absolutely brilliant result. 1 year, 6 months, 9 days from the start of planning to effective execution, achieved solely by Ukraine. You're Putin. You wake up. Your general tells you this is what happened to our unit. And forget about that. That's $7 billion. We'll make the money from somewhere.
Yeah.
But Zelensky says this publicly to put an in your face on top of it that I'm not scared of you. How much longer does Putin have to go acting like he can be pushed around?
Oh, I don't expect him to keep acting like that. I expect it like a.
How bad do you think the response is going to be, Tom? How bad do you think the response is going to be? Like, honestly, okay, so are we at a point where percentage of nuclear response, what percentage are you at? Nuclear, Tom. I'm going to ask all of you guys. Just 30 seconds, no explanation. Just give me what you think it is.
Okay.
0 to 200. Nuclear reaction.
0 to 200?
0 to 100%.
0 to 100. Well, remember, I think it's 50%, but there's 3 levels of nukes. There's depleted uranium weaponry. There's isolated nukes, which people believe have been used in warfare already. And then there's full-blown, the mushroom cloud.
Endgame.
I think there's a 0% chance of the mushroom cloud, but I believe there's tactical stuff out there that
What percentage you say?
I think it's 50% that
Okay,
he can
Brandon, where
move
you
to the
at?
tactical dirty bomb.
I say 10% for nukes, but like over 50% for the harshest action they've taken so far in the assembly. I think they'll throw everything they have at them except for
Vinny.
nukes.
25 to 30% lower grade nukes, but we're like you said, we're talking about a guy that's been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed back. It's about to go down. I'm telling you right now. You think he's going to go quiet? You think Putin's not going to respond to that?
Adam.
Very low, less than 5%. He's been threatening nuclear war since the beginning of this war and has done nothing. 1 week ago, what did Trump say about Putin? He tweeted, Vladimir has gone crazy. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So I think that there's an element of this that Trump has felt disrespected. Trump realizes that he came out the box and said, I'm going to end this war on day 1. Meanwhile, it's day 150, whatever it is right now. I think he feels disrespected by Putin. I think he thought that Putin was someone that he could rationalize with. And what he's realizing is that the real dictator is Putin. Yes, Zelensky is not exactly a fan favorite around here anymore, but don't forget who the enemy is. It is Putin, not Zelensky.
Pat, you were
question.
asking about who's backing him or who gave him a green light. Remember after the fight in the Oval Office and when Trump said, I'm pulling funding, Zelensky went straight to the UK, met with Starmer. Starmer pledged unwavering support. Then Macron pledged unwavering support. And then on February 25th, Olaf Scholz of Germany pledged unwavering support. Remember they said, we will be your backstop bank. We'll be your hard money lender. Remember those deals they put in place, Pat? And they were a little bit worse than our deals. Remember that it would actually be a loan and there was a dispute among
Then he did
France.
a whole skit about it. This is a
Remember,
week ago.
UK, France, and Germany, there's a dispute there. Remember, those 3 are selling, especially France. France is a war machine. Remember, they were selling war machines into Arab countries that were using them against Israel, and they were a member of NATO with us. Those 3 countries in February pledged support for Ukraine. I'm not sure about the CIA in the back. Do I think they're there? Yeah. Do I think they're calling all the shots?
CIA's always
Everyone?
there.
No. But the UK, but the Europeans, after the fight in the Oval Office with Vance, they all said, here's money and we're here to help.
PBD, you sound
we're
like
still
not. PBD, you sound the tone. You sound unconvinced of something.
Yeah.
What is it that you're thinking?
Oh, no. I mean, look, if you're Trump, who are you more upset with right now, Putin or Zelensky?
Probably Putin.
No.
Zelensky?
Why,
he just
would you be more
he
upset
just
about
Pearl
Putin?
Harbored them.
I want to know, why do you think he's more upset with Putin right now?
I think he had his moment in time with Zelensky where he basically dressed him down in the Oval Office. Since then, Zelensky has been
the only
his
way,
whipping
if
boy, and then
Zelensky-
he called Putin crazy.
Yeah. If
A week ago.
Zelensky did this without the support or conversation with Trump or anybody on his team, so no one from from our administration knew about it. Those are 2 different things. If we knew about it, this is Trump's proxy war. Okay? If Trump knew about it. If Trump didn't know about it, and he did, I'm just telling you guys, I'm not
I
here
agree.
trying
I
to
just-
make any kind of friends. I'm just telling you what the options could be. If he knew, Trump's officially in a proxy war, using Ukraine to attack Russia to get what he wants from Russia. And the only way somebody acts that brave is someone told you, I got your back, bro.
100%.
Let me tell you, if we go and you're not let's just say you're not a tough guy and there's a bunch of guys that are coming in and you know you have a fight today, and then you go up and they roll up to you. 20 guys come up to you after high school and you walk up and you say, really? Let me tell you, if Patrick finds out you do anything, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, he's your friend? Of course. Oh, bro, we ain't got no problem, da-da-da-da-da. You can use my name. And you walk up and you're like, oh, do something, right? That's Zelensky. Mm-hmm. Dude, you can't act like this without a backing. You can't do something like this without backing. Who the hell gave him the confidence to act like that? I don't know. By the way, I'm not telling you it's Trump. I don't know. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is for you to be that freaking bold to make that kind of a statement, say it's an 18-month plan, and then say something like this, and you want Putin to sit there and be like, who the fuck? I've been doing this for 20-some years. You guys are presidents for 4 years at a time. You guys are nobodies. That's how he views it. This Zelensky guy, he's a nobody. He's not in my class to be sitting on my table. Who the hell is he for me to sit down? That's how he views himself. He views himself as a king. He views himself as a leader above these guys. No, I don't know if I like this. And the only question I got is, who the hell is giving Zelensky this much confidence to think you can act this boldly after the minerals deal, after what happened with Russia, after Trump trying to do a peace deal? You want to behave like this a week after Trump called out Putin, whatever he called out? I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me.
Follow the
Do you
money.
remember one of the
Follow
things
the money.
Zelensky wanted?
And I'm-
Zelensky wanted a backstop. And what you just said just triggered my memory of it. When he wouldn't sign the minerals deal first, he said, I want the U.S. to commit to be a backstop. He basically wanted the NATO clause number, whatever it is, about
Article 13.
Article 15. He wanted basically a form of Article 15 on the first minerals deal. Remember that? And Trump's like, no, I'm not giving you a backstop because you're going to back there and you're not going to stop the war. And it forces me to keep feeding you.
But
Somebody's, I agree, Pat. Somebody's in his ear and has told him it may not be public, but we got you.
I mean, but let's just CIA aside, Trump. I don't think Trump knows, guys. Lindsey Graham is there. He's a war hawk. He asked for 500% tariffs on Russia every time. He's the pin wearing. To hell with Putin. He's the enemy. It's right in front of our face. I don't know what else he told them, but for this type of attack, a Pearl Harbor attack, and that guy's there.
Do you think, America knows what happened with Epstein? Do you think Trump knows what happened with Epstein?
Yeah.
He knows 100%.
Do you think Trump knows what happened with Kennedy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think
Yes.
Trump knows what happened with 9/11?
No.
Do you think you don't think he does?
No.
You think Trump knows the dirt with Israel, AIPAC? Do you think he knows what those lobbyists are behind closed doors?
Yeah,
the power?
he was in that network.
Do you think he knows all of those people and how the buying, the blackmail? Do you think he knows all that stuff?
Oh yeah, he
Of
grew up
course.
on it.
Yeah, he grew up in it.
That's the point. So
But you think
I have a very hard time saying he knows this stuff and some kind of an intel wasn't dropped. This isn't a small move. You don't do something like this and you mean to tell me I don't know and I don't have the intel? No. But all I'm saying is I'm not telling you he supported it. I'm not saying he supported it. And no one's sitting here talking about Lindsey Graham and where he's at and whatever he's doing. We want to make Lindsey Graham that powerful?
No.
You want him? You think he's that powerful?
He's not.
He's
He's definitely not.
One of many.
He shivers when he's around Trump.
Yeah.
He doesn't around Trump act hardcore and all this other stuff. No. Someone gave Zelensky the authority to act the way he did. I want to know who that is. I think if we know who that is, you can find out the rest 20 things that you want to know. If you only knew who gave him the authority to act as hard as he did.
Well, think about the powerful forces, though, that benefit if Putin falls and Russia gets opened up again to the world. Like you got BlackRock and JP Morgan chomping at the bit to get into Russia and Ukraine. And you got like one.
I get that. I get the whole 75 trillion, the most resources in
Yeah,
the world.
that's a big thing.
I totally get that. But then tell me, so who would do that? Who gives Zelensky this kind of backing? You think it's BlackRock? You think it's Jamie Dimon? You think it's
A lot of it is
I
the EU.
think it's a coalition. I think it's a coalition that it's private businesses
I
to
don't
some
know.
degree, and it's intelligence
That's not
networks to some
enough,
degree.
bro. That's not enough because the private businesses cannot give you protection from a war. If this guy retaliates and say 100,000 people die in Ukraine, 500,000 people die in Ukraine, and he's capable of dropping a nuclear, what are you going to do now? Now we have a war around the freaking, it's a world war.
But remember,
then what happens when that takes place?
Intelligence agencies operate through businesses, though. That's like their main way that they do espionage.
I know they do, but I need backing. So where do I get backing to know that a reaction won't be taking place? If a reaction takes, in this case, who is Japan? In this instance, who is Japan?
Japan is Ukraine.
Japan is Ukraine.
Okay, yeah.
Who is U.S.?
Russia.
Russia.
Yeah.
What happened after what Japan did?
Nagasaki and
How
Hiroshima.
hardcore did Japan to act?
Hardcore.
And then what happened?
Yeah, they got messed up.
They got messed up. So what do you think Putin's thinking right now? If I'm in his room, I don't know.
I agree with everything you're saying. Can I give you one caveat, though?
Yeah, go for it.
Because we're using a metaphor of Pearl Harbor. The reason that might be a little off is they're already at war. They're already going blow for blow, punch for punch, bomb for bomb, missile for missile. The reason that Pearl Harbor was so over the top dramatic because it came out of nowhere. It came out of completely nowhere. These two countries are already at war. So, what do they say is like, all is fair in love and war. This is what's happening right now.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If this morning we're coming in, you don't have phone. We take your phone away from you since midnight. You don't have access to news or anything. We put you in a bedroom. Here in the office, you have access to nothing. And we make a list of things that happened. And we make them up. Where would you rank that this happened this morning? We make 10 stories. And we tell you, yeah, last night Ukraine, similar to Pearl Harbor, shot up 40 bombers in Russia in a drone attack like never seen before. Where would you rank that?
As far as shocked, oh my God, that happened?
Yes.
Not in my top 2 or 3.
It wouldn't even be in your top 5.
No.
Okay, so I just went out right now and asked the question, what is the worst Ukraine, what's the worst, can you go to ChatGPT, type in, what's the worst attack Ukraine has had on Russia so far? What's the worst attack Ukraine has had on Russia so far? Okay, let's see what it says. I got my answer. I'm curious to know. Sometimes it's got different answers for different people, but let's see what it says. Boom. Which one is that?
June 1st, 2025,
That's the one.
Operation Spiderweb.
That's the one. So, bro, no one expected this.
Yeah.
This isn't a regular thing. We're sitting here thinking pieces around the corner. You think this accelerated the process of peace?
No, this definitely hindered
Hell
the process.
no.
For
and
sure.
guess who slowed it down? Zelensky. What do you mean you drop in 41 Russian and then you brag about it publicly? You know, when you brag about it publicly right there, you know, a guy like Putin, if you're the leader of that country, you have to show strength. You have to show strength. And I don't want any war. I don't want to see anything happen. I've lived in the middle of war until today when I hear certain sounds. It takes me back to being a kid in Iran. I don't want war anyway. I don't want anybody dying. But if you behave this way, someone gave you the confidence that's going to be okay. Somebody said, don't worry about it. Go, we got your back. Who? I want to know. You and riddle me this. Who said that you can attack and we got your back? That's all I want to know. Right. There's a bunch of weird guys that connect me. And one couple of the guys, I don't know their names. So I tell them, I said, are you with the CIA? Who are you with? Because it's almost like you're trying to instill some of the stuff in me.
We get that guy too.
Yeah. And I'll say,
I'm
hey.
not going to say it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I appreciate it because he's always he gives very interesting angles. But for me, you cannot sit here and be naive, assuming this happened and others didn't know. Yeah, Zelensky did this by himself and nobody knew about this on a big back. And, oh, Lindsey Graham is the one that's going to have his back. What do you think Lindsey Graham is? So let's role play that conversation. Hey, Zelensky, what's up? I'm Lindsey Graham. Attack him. I got your back, dog.
Oh, no, who sent Lindsey Graham?
Okay.
Maybe the CIA
who
sent him.
Lindsey Graham?
Maybe the rogue people from the CIA, but what are the timing?
Well, who sent them? Vinny, go there. I sincerely want to be convinced.
It has to be somebody or a group that wants war with Russia.
But who?
Well,
But you have to give me backing.
Meaning what?
If I'm Zelensky, you have to give me backing.
Like a guarantee, like you're going to be okay.
You have to give it to me, and you don't control the military. You're a world leader. I'm not. I'm a senator.
Mm-hmm.
You're a world leader, okay? You're Zelensky, I'm Senator Graham. Who have you sat across?
I mean, the
Who have you sat across versus me?
You're with all leaders and everybody. I'm just a senator.
No. You are Zelensky.
the president. Oh, I've sat with everybody.
So in your eyes, how do you look at me?
You're like not a peasant, but you're an errand boy for the government.
Relax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 400 people like you that work for me.
Yeah.
Chill out, bro.
Yeah.
You're not that big of a deal. Okay.
Yeah.
I come to you and I say, hey, listen, I got the backing. CIA's got your back.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe me?
As Lindsey Graham saying it to me.
Do you believe me that I go and say Boeing's got your back, General Dynamics has your back? Go. We got your back. Go.
Well, that's a bigger deal if defense contractors do.
But do you believe me? I pulled up a contract and I looked at it and said, who is giving the most money to Ukraine? Guess who's number one? What country?
United States.
No, it's Germany, $132 billion. Who's number two? Us, $119 billion. Who's number three? UK. Germany's given $132 billion since 2022 to them. So why? I'm trying to fully understand who gave this guy permission to behave the way he did. I would be say I'm Trump and I don't know, and you behave that way, I'm on his ass right now. And don't be surprised, in the next 6 hours, if President Trump comes out with a Truth Social message bashing Zelensky, you know he didn't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's playing politics.
Mm-hmm.
If he comes out bashing Putin, if he comes out trying to be peacemaker, but, you know, someone made this guy believe he can go as hard as he wants.
And I know you want to change, but the Crimean bridge was attacked for the third time by Ukraine security, and there's videos Valuetainment posted as well. They're still on the offensive.
What's this, Rob?
This is that's the Crimean bridge. The Crimean bridge was attacked for the third time by Ukraine. Yeah. This is a little while ago.
Today?
Today, June 3rd. June 3rd at 4:40 p.m.
Who did that?
Ukraine security services executed a covert underwater operation targeting the Crimean Bridge, also known as the Kerch Bridge. This marks the third time Ukraine has struck the strategic infrastructure since the onset of the war. It's involving planting 1,100 kilograms of explosives underwater for months to do this.
Well, PBD, I got to give you credit. You're asking all the right questions. about
don't
who's
know any
funding
of
this.
this
No,
stuff.
you're
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yeah.
There's a famous phrase: "He who pays says." Whoever is funding this operation, which you just read the list, Germany, United States, EU,
I don't like it.
defense contractors, they're basically saying, "Keep going. We're not ending this war anytime
You know,
soon."
history has proxies for us, Pat, and they're scary proxies. Remember, it was December 7th, 1941 was Pearl Harbor.
A day that'll live in infamy, Tom.
Yep. And it was 4 years later, after military things were going on and, you know, all the things, Lady Gulf and everything that went on, the U.S. decided to touch civilian targets in 1945. And people forget that the bombing of Tokyo in March of 1945 was the most devastating. It was more devastating than the 2 atomic weapons. It was 100,000 people, civilians. We went after civilian targets. And what worries me is that when governments lose patience on military, Pat, you know what I'm saying? When people lose patience on the military side and you just couldn't get the Emperor of Japan to break, you go after the civilian targets, and then 5 months later, it was the 2 atomic weapons. And it was the power of the weapons that caused Japan to back off. And it scares me to death because that was a long-term, protracted war that Japan wouldn't back down. And we finally went for civilian targets. 90,000 civilians died in Tokyo in March of 1945. And what scares me is
Tom,
this
I want to move on, Tom. Yeah, I want to move on. I want to move on because for me, when I'm hearing this, we're on the same page. There's a lot of uncertainty. I don't feel good about it. The timing of it sucks. Like the last thing we need something like that. We're barely, the economy is like kind of getting a little bit more. This is the last thing we need at a time like this to be thrown. Now, the only thing, if I add the last skepticism, whoever wants Trump to lose the credibility of being a peace president could have influence on causing this to say during his regime, there was a world war. And the left will win from that. They will win from that. So is this a China influence? I don't think. Is this I don't know. But to me, there's a lot of moving parts. If you believe the future looks bright and you live in Florida, Texas, California, or New York, in that order, by the way, of the hats. The hats are available for your state where you get to wear Future Looks Bright. And on the site has your state on it. I think the Florida numbered hats, there's 3 left on the numbers for Florida. But the rest of them, there's a few left for you to go order. Rob, do you have a video on this or no with the hats?
Yep.
Press the video on this here. You can go ahead and play it. And it tells you, on the cover, it says Future Looks Bright. Valuetainment logo on the other side. You got Florida, California, Texas, and New York. If you're proud of your state, where you live in, and you believe the future looks bright, go sport it. And by the way, we got emails from people saying, how about our state? How about this? How about that? Look, we even had a couple guys that ordered the hats and sent it to people that live in Texas, New York, California, and Florida. And a lot of good commentary. I was tagged on a bunch of different gifts that people got. So go place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, place the order for the hat that represents your state, or buy it as a gift for somebody that lives in those states.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.